are destroyed off of you. And what will you say?
Into Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady Rochelle, where we move away from awareness towards action on this Health and Wellness Monday. I'm so excited that you have chosen to tune in. I encourage you to take this ride with me as we dive into our topic, You Are What You Eat. Today's show is being sponsored by All Safe by Paula Kelly, located at 327 East Glenwood Lansing Road in Glenwood, Illinois. She can be reached at 708-758-3300. Our quote for today is, Your genetic is not your destiny. I have an amazing guest today, and she's going to be sharing her journey with us. She is a happy vegan for over the past 10 years. She began her journey after years of recurring problems and after numerous of visits to doctors and specialists. A turning point in her life is when she met an herbalist at Whole Foods. It pays to go shopping, people. It pays to go shopping. Who introduced her to herbal healing. So after the actual encounter, surrounded herself with people who were all about healing per your diet. So her path today is to live healthy, and she is continuously learning how to do that. So welcome to Warriors Talk, Armanda Killingham.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. So I'm excited about this conversation today because there are a lot of different conversations, or I want to say debates, as it will believe as it has to do with food. And a lot of people don't believe how important food plays in your healing and just your overall thinking as well. So she's going to share her journey with us. First of all, did I leave out anything that you want to let our audience know about you?
No.
All right. Okay. Get this information. We're all about health and wellness, living a healthy life so we can have longevity in life, right?
Absolutely.
So that we can be active and we can grow and live a long, healthy life. So we're talking about you are what you eat. Trash in, trash out.
Absolutely.
So just tell us, first of all, because some people don't know, what a vegan is.
Okay, a vegan is a person not only doesn't eat meat, but you don't eat any byproducts of an animal. So that includes eggs, milk, cheese, yogurt made from cow's milk, goat milk, or any animal. So a vegan is a little bit more than just vegetarian, because vegetarians will eat cheese and that type of thing, but vegans won't eat meat or anything, a byproduct from an animal.
Okay, so
That's a vegan.
some people will say, well, what's left to eat, right?
Right.
After you hear all of that, it's like, what's really left to eat? And if it's something, is it worth eating?
Yes. So I do. So like everybody else, I love cheese. I love ice cream and all that kind of stuff. So I usually eat those. If I have those products, I will have them made with almond milk, coconut milk, rice milk, something other than dairy. So that's that. And I also tell people, I said that the thing about it is, if you just can't, come vegan and you just can't do it, then the next best thing is to buy high quality meat and high quality milk products and byproducts. And usually you find those at Trader Joe's and Whole Foods and those type of stores, especially Whole Foods, because you can learn the history of the meat you have, and you can get, yeah. So they have these huge charts, and they train you on if the meat has been grass fed, hasn't been given hormones, haven't been raised improperly, haven't been in nasty slaughterhouses with the other diseased animals. So you can learn the history. So if you just can't give up meat, then I always tell people, then do the next best thing and get high quality meat. Now, and I tell people, I'm not trying to bash anybody, but you're not going to get high quality fish at Long John Silver's. You're not getting high quality chicken at KFC. Okay, so I mean, I know it tastes good,
but we flock to those places, right?
Right.
Because it's easy, it's accessible, it's just right there in the neighborhood. You don't have to prepare it. It's done for you. You just go through the drive-through, and you have dinner.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what happened. I used to talk about people that I would run you down. Okay, my diet was horrific, and I talked about people that was like me until I got sick. And so I came to the conclusion real quick. You're going to pay either way. You're going to pay being sick, going to doctors, going to specialists, not having good health, or you're going to pay by becoming disciplined and making good food choices. Either way. And I learned, I didn't have to read it. I learned that food directly affects my health. And so I learned that just from experience. But I was reading that they were saying something like, doctors say a high percentage, like, 80 or 90% of our problems are diet related. Of course, there are some things that are related to genetics, but a good portion of our illnesses, and then there are related to diet. And then some scientists have even dissected the intestines and can tell you which part of the intestines certain diseases come from. So I learned all this as I was going on in my journey, but I know specifically certain foods affected me, and it's to the place now where my doctor will say to me, if I come in and my doctor will say to me, have you been eating ice cream? Because, I love Haagen-Dazs butter pecan ice cream. So I don't eat it, but I love it, and every so often I might have a little cheese on something, if I just, go home for Thanksgiving and that macaroni and cheese is just calling my name, so I may have a spoonful and I'll come back and so she and I both realized, yeah. And then one day I accidentally ate at work. They had this broccoli, it looked like broccoli salad, but bacon was in it. And I love bacon. Okay. And the first bite, I instantly tasted the bacon and knew it was going to be a problem. And I was like, Lord, let me make it to this bathroom because I can't afford to have these people see me fall out here. Lord, please let me make it to that bathroom. So food directly affected me. And it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer after that. And so I just continued to learn more and more. And I can just tell.
So what I'm hearing you say is your body will tell you
absolutely
what you should not be eating
absolutely
or overindulging in, because sometimes we're just overindulging. Once your body is full, then you should not continue to eat. You got to be able to take a break.
Be disciplined.
Yeah,
it takes discipline.
That's a key word, discipline. And I think a lot of us don't have the discipline when it comes to eating healthy.
And then another thing too, especially in the African American community, and one of the authors I brought books today, she'll speak to it. We tie food into social type things. We tie food into love. If you go home and, your grandma and fix all of this food because that's what she do, and everybody comes together. It's family time, food and fellowship, even at church. And you're the ones like, I don't want that one. That can be a lot of stress on some people. And then other people are like, what's wrong with you? They treat me like I treated people. Something wrong with you? You don't want to eat this? So it's difficult. You have to be disciplined and even at church, and you're the ones like, that can be a lot of stress on some people. Okay, no problem. And so, yeah, so you have to be disciplined. And then, like I was, my family and friends and the people I serve, majority, they're very open to, my diet and my lifestyle. And a lot of them are trying to get on.
Was they like that at first, or?
Not as much at first. But now they're seeing the health effects and they're hearing, and it's becoming more popular. Girl, it's popular now to be vegan. It ain't weird no more. Sexy, right? It is. So it's pop. And then I think I heard recently that was it JC and what's his wife? Girl, you can tell how old I am. What's her name? Single legs. What's her name?
It's
Beyonce.
Yes.
Oh, yes. I heard that they came out and was supporting vegan lifestyle and stuff. So I was like, wow. So it's just chic now,
It is. I think once people see what it looks like, because people have the wrong perception sometimes, it's like vegan. Oh no, I'm going to be restricted to doing certain things, but it's like, no, not really. It's a lifestyle change, and you have to adapt to that lifestyle, just like you would do with anything, any type of situation. And when you think in long term, this is my health.
Absolutely.
This is this is going to be the difference maker when I get to be 90. If I live to be 90 years old, the decisions that I make right now can
Absolutely.
contribute to that. So I think when you look at it like that and you focus on, this is going to benefit me. And then if you have kids, you have a husband, and everybody incorporate it into everybody's
Right.
lifestyle. So like I'm vegan, but my kids are not.
Right.
And
right.
so when I'm cooking, they like, Mom, we want meat, but I don't cook the meat. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, y'all can get it outside the house. I'm not cooking it in the house. So,
Mhm.
Even I don't want to be selfish with my lifestyle because that's what I chose, but I don't even like the smell of meat anymore. Like, just once you start reading about it, even just looking at it, I just don't have a taste for it. So
Right. Right.
so we do have to adopt a disciplined lifestyle, and then just be conscious of the people that are around you. We don't want to be
Right.
negative
Right.
about what's going on, but we want them to welcome them into this lifestyle because we know it's healthier for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know in this book here
What
that
you
I'm
got?
going to
What you
give
got?
to you, this book is called The African American Vegan Starter
Oh,
Guide.
I like that.
And it speaks, I'm going to give that to you.
Okay, I gotta get
And
that.
it speaks to those issues on how to incorporate your children into it and how to, encourage others to get into it. But people think that, like you were saying earlier, you vegan, that means all you can eat is, seaweed and rocks. Woo, woo, woo. And I'm like, no. No, I said, I have not substituted good food. I like good flavor. So I still have a lot of things I can eat, and I do eat, and I season them right, and still have good food. And now I've gotten to the place where, if I'm going someplace and there's a potluck or something, I don't tell people anymore what because I know if I told them, they go, oh no. But now I tell people, and they'll tell me, oh, I'm allergic to that, or I don't like that, and I'll fix it up. I said, girl, have some of my porridge. And they'll eat, oh, this is good, girl. What is this? I'm like, exactly what you said you don't like, because I'll get some garlic or some onion in there or some, I use oriental herbs, ginger and lemongrass. I use a lot of Indian herbs, seasonings as well, cumin and turmeric, um, curry, different things, and then, of course, one of my all-time favorites. I haven't forgotten barbecue sauce and hot sauce, so I'll mix it up, and it'll be good, So, different types of greens I'll use and things, different type of beans, and different stuff. Um, I like to cook with, people like salt. I don't use salt. I don't even use sea salt. I have it in my house, but I don't, or Himalaya sea salt that's supposed to be healthy. I don't even use that because I can get salt from, a salt taste from my food. I use capers. I use celery. Um, Whatever I use to liquid amino acids, which just takes the place of soy sauce. So those things give. Oh, I also like to use sun-dried tomatoes. Will give me good flavor. And sun-dried tomatoes and mushrooms mushrooms are so good for you. They'll give you like a meaty texture if you desire that in your food. So you can grind up some mushrooms or some sun-dried tomatoes. That gives me a lot of meat. So I will use my seasonings and other things. But with me, it's not even a thing of missing it because I still have in my memory how sick I was. And I have in my memory, you said, people will, if they live to 90, they'll be healthier. That's true. But I was living it. I didn't have to wait. If I didn't change my diet, I don't know if I would have made it to 90. So I saw instantly the effects of my diet have had on me. And so that's all the deterrent I needed because I'm like, I have a life and I can't, have all this going on and I'm going and spending all this money and, specialists and I'm taking off work and I'm trying to play it off, and they're like, well, what are you doing? Ain't nobody had that many doctor's appointments,
You can use that money for food
right.
instead of
And
going to the
then
doctor.
the specialists, I ain't gonna name no names. They were making me more sick. That stuff that they was giving me was just making me more sick. And so it came to be like I told you, I ran into an herbalist. One day I come from a doctor's office and I was just so depressed because, my health just wasn't getting good, just getting better. And they just wasn't able. ran into a herbalist and just started talking to her. And she gave me all this stuff to try. And so I made up what I call a witch's brew. And I had all this stuff. I had some spirulina, some astraga. Girl, I couldn't even pronounce all that stuff the lady gave me. Okay. I had garlic up in there, some coconut oil, and just this, I was drinking it. I started healing. I went back to my doctor and she asked me, what are you doing? Did you take the medicine I gave you? And I was like, no, I didn't, I stopped taking that. That didn't work for me. And so she's like, what are you? I said, I'm glad you asked because I brought a list. I brought a list of what I've been taking. She looked at it. Oh, that's not working. That stuff is not founded. That's no, that can't be working. I'm like, okay, well, you asked me. No. So I'm glad to hear I'm healing. So that night, it was so interesting because her nurse called me at home and she was like, please don't tell. I'm not supposed to be calling patients at night, but we're still talking about your recovery and you just got to tell me what you've been doing. I told y'all what I was doing. I said, I ran into a herbalist in Whole Foods, just started just telling her all my business, all my problems. And she was like, we could fix that. I bought everything she told me to buy and I started healing. That's it. I had some lemon juice in there. It was just all kind of stuff. And I started healing. So they never really understood what I had, but it cleared up. And so I've had 2 more instances like that where my doctor told me that I was really sick. Well, I had low blood white count, low blood white count, white blood cells. And so she sent me to a specialist. And when I talked to the people in that office, all those people had blood cancers. I was like, what am I doing up here? So I talked to the doctor and I told her, what was going on. I was vegan and everything. And she downed it. No, that's not working. You can't be, that's unfounded. You need to eat. She gave me some medicine. So I now have a naturopath doctor and a medical doctor, a regular medical, and I play them off on each other. So I went to the specialist that was charging me something like $400 an hour. I saw it with my good insurance. Okay, it was still like $400 an hour, and it was like 20 minutes that I was in there and out. So I got her diagnosed. You don't know, I don't want to talk right now. Okay, so I got her diagnosis, went to my naturopath doctor, So my naturopath, I love her. She's right here in LaGrange Park. And she does this whole body holistic thing. You can't just tell her my eye hurt. She's gonna look at your tongue, the bottom of your feet, what's your lifestyle. Have you been?
She's gonna get to the root of it.
She is gonna look at the whole thing and get it. So she gave me some cod liver oil and I think some what kind of seeds was that she gave me? It was no one chia seeds. It was I forget the other seeds.
The hemp seeds?
They weren't hemp seeds. It was, it's gonna come to me. I know. I just get a blank right now. So I went home and drank that nasty cod liver oil and all this stuff. And it was supposed to be some great kind that came from some spring out in Montana and no, toxins in it, whatever. Started taking the stuff and the seeds. I healed. Went back to the doctor, the specialist. She came in. All your numbers are off the chart. Everything's great. Did you take them? No. Well, what'd you do? I said, I went to my doctor down the street. I said, in fact, I should introduce you to her. Maybe y'all could work together. She told me to take this cod liver oil. And she's like, okay. Your vegan lifestyle. Maybe that's it. I'm like, well, yeah, I continue to eat, right. But I told her what you said and she gave me this stuff. And she says, that's just not right. It doesn't work that way, blah, blah, blah. So she rushed me out of her office because she didn't want to hear what I had to say. But the interesting thing is as I was going out, I was talking to the people in her lobby. And I was telling them my story. And they were like, really? Where's she at? I was like, girl, I don't know. You just need to go down there. She could tell you. She look at the whole thing. She could tell you. If she can't do nothing for you, she'll tell you that too. And so next thing I know, the doctor come out. She was mad at me. She ushered me up out of that office. I was like, have I just been put out the
That's money. You
office.
messing with her money.
Abs. Well, I figured that out later, and so I went back to my naturopath. I told her the story, and she was cracking up, and she was like, "Yeah," she says, "What I gave you cost $20, okay, and she's charging you $400 per session. You think that she not gonna usher you up out of there?" you know.
Because
So
if you tell somebody, you telling them, then they tell somebody, and word of mouth, it'll get around, and then she won't have any patients, and the other doctors won't have any patients. It's a big thing with they call it big pharma because we know there's a lot of money in. I
absolutely
call it the band-aid effect because they just put a band-aid on what's going on. They really don't get to the root cause. It's like, oh, you have cancer. Why do where did it come from, and many doctors don't really get to the root of what's going on. They like to give you the medicine, try this, you come back 3 months later, oh, that didn't work, okay, try this, okay, try that, not to mention all the side effects that comes with the different medicines that you're taking, and some of them
Mhm.
could be permanent side effects
Right.
as well. And so I think as you was talking and you was talking about the path that you was taking, I'm just thinking like a lot of people don't really take the time. Like we don't have time to sit around and we'd rather pop a pill and let it go through our system, do what it's gonna do, versus saying, okay, let me just make this a lifestyle. You
You
know,
have to.
make it a lifestyle instead of popping this. The pill is a temporary solution and it doesn't even cure the actual problem. So let me do something that I know is gonna cure the problem.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I don't know if people was like me prior to getting sick. I had to get sick for me to come to that conclusion. And so I think that has a lot to do with it as well. Yeah, I had to literally see, the effects. Otherwise, I don't know, I probably still would have been doing what I was doing, eating the way I was eating, and just living a destructive lifestyle. But I had to see it. And then, I tell people too, it's a little easier for me because I do live alone, so I don't have to, in your case, have children looking up, mommy, I want, pepperoni pizza with tons of cheese, and I don't have that. I don't have a husband standing there saying, no, I need some real meat. Now the guys at church are always telling me, no, ladies, don't let her in the kitchen. Don't let her plan the menu. I get that all the time. No, no, you bring the salad. That's it. But so I don't have that. And then when I go out, I pick what I want. If it's not a full blown vegan restaurant, which I do frequent vegan restaurants, then I will go to restaurants that will modify things for me. And I said, I tell people all the time, my all time default food is I love French fries. I've never given them up. Love French fries. So if worst come to worst and I don't have anything else to eat and I'm starving, I will break down and eat some French fries. So so yeah, I don't have that pressure that some other people do. And then when people talk about me and give me a hard time, I know my story. I know, those trips to the doctor and they're not telling me, and all I can see is that the road I was going was the road people with cancer was going. And I'm like, if I just keep sitting up here listening to them and taking stuff, I'm gonna be a cancer patient. I gotta take things. One of my doctors told me, Amanda, stop going on the internet and bringing me stuff because I'm coming to her. I read about a lady in Australia. She said that would happen to her, and then look what she did. Can't you help me with this? She was like, don't bring me nothing off the internet. So, yeah, I had to take things into my own hands, and I always knew that food played a role because growing up on my mom's side of the family, um, we had health problems, health problems and weight problems, and we didn't live as long as on my dad's side of the family. And but we were church people. All we did was go to church, And so I was like, we don't have destructive lifestyles. So it must be the food because we don't do anything else. So I knew just growing up that food had, and then my grandmother had diabetes. And, back then I didn't know it was called diabetes. It was called sugar. I knew about sugar. So I knew, and high blood pressure. So I knew about the effects of salt and sugar, white sugar. And so I knew those basic things growing up, but really didn't understand all the rest of how food affects the body. So I learned. I learned.
You have to take control of your own health. Be your own health advocate. You're not going to advocate for yourself, then who will? Do you listen to the Red Table? Do you get to watch it at all?
I don't. I've heard about it. I have not listened
You haven't
to it.
listened to it? Okay, you have
Mm-mm.
to listen to it. So, Will Smith and his family, they did
Right.
an interventionist. I think it's called a health and wellness intervention. So the whole family sat around the table and everybody just started talking about, their health, their eating habits, their poop habits, just anything that they're dealing with. They started talking about it. And so then they brought on a specialist that she's testing everybody, doing their blood work and then doing workups to tell them, what's going on, what they need to work on. So I even know Will Smith talked about he has high blood pressure.
Okay.
Didn't know that, right? Because he always looks so good. He always looks so fit. So he talked about how he knew how to bulk up, like he knew what to eat to bulk up for a
The
role, and
movie.
he knew
Okay.
how to, be cut, and exercising and get in shape for that. But he didn't know how to do it with food. Like he's like, I never understood food. Like he would eat. Jada said he would, like within an hour span, he would have ice cream. He'll have broccoli. He'll go get a piece of cake. He'll go get a steak. He'll go get some chips. He'll go get some grapes. He'll go get some carrots, like all within an hour. And he's like, I get so bored with food. So when I'm bored, he has to have something constantly in his mouth. And so he talked about how he was telling the doctor, oh, I poop every 3 days. And she's like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm always constipated. In the morning, I drink water and then I drink coffee that makes me go. And, he just talked about how unhealthy, he was going. And he said that because he has high blood pressure, he was so sick when they was on vacation, he was pop eating these donuts and then drinking alcohol. And he got so sick that he just stopped eating for like 5 days. He went, no, 10 days. He went on a fast for 10 days because his blood pressure dropped so low. He said for the 10 days that he was fasting, his blood pressure stabilized. And he said, wait a
Mm-hmm.
minute, do I have high blood pressure?
Mm-hmm.
And then it clicked to him like, wait a minute, the stuff that I was eating, and then I stopped eating it, and now my blood pressure is stabilized. So what's going on
Absolutely.
here? So I think that
Mm-hmm.
caused them to do the intervention so they could figure out what's really going on. What are we doing wrong to cause these things to happen? Do I really need to be taking? He said he's been taking that medicine for 10 years. And he's like, do I really need to be taking this medicine if I
Mm-hmm.
just fast and my blood pressure was stable? So there is a connection, and I think
Absolutely.
people we need to take time out to see what that connection is for us, because everybody's different. Figure out if you want to be vegan, if you want to be vegetarian, whatever it is that works for you that will get your body functioning healthy.
Yeah. And then like the gentleman that co-wrote this book, T. Colin Campbell, he was I don't know if you heard of the China study. And so he did a big study. It's very popular in the vegan uh, world. And he studied cultures in Asia and South America, cultures um, that don't have meat, that eat a lot of plant-based
Oh,
foods and stuff,
okay.
and found that those people were much healthier. They did not have the problems that we have. And a lot of them are very poor people too. He found that too. A lot of it, the more wealth you have and the more access you have to things, the unhealthier you are too. Because the people who didn't have, they ate off the land, they ate plant-based stuff, and they were much healthier. And then they found that when people who lived in these countries would come to the United States, and then they would get into the American diet and an American lifestyle,
They reverse it.
they get sick.
Yeah.
So that was up. So that was huge, for the vegan vegetarian health field to realize that wow, uh, food is very much tied to diet. So yeah, but we just don't hear about those things. And then like you were saying, I mentioned earlier, is about money, because a lot of times, um, bad food and things are pushed on us because it's money. And I don't know if you remember some years ago when Oprah had got in trouble. They tried to sue her. Do you remember? You young, you might not remember. But it was some years ago where Oprah had a show and she was exposing really the meat industry and how the animals are treated and how unhealthy they were, and all these people. So she has stopped eating meat for some time, and all these people, stopped eating too. And the meat industry took a hit,
losing money, yes.
and they were trying to sue her because her having that segment on how the meat was unhealthy has such an impact. And so this particular author, I love her. Her name is Tracy McGuire, I think it's her pronounced her last name. She's a huge person in the Black vegan field. She's written books. She has seminars and webinars, but she's written this book to urge specifically African American women. I mean, it's a very good read, very easy read on the vegan lifestyle.
I like the title.
Yeah, by any greens necessary. And so she's awesome. I've trained underneath her, taken some of her classes, and in fact, she sent me this book for taking her classes, and she signed it. But she has a vast history in the health field, and she talks about how, and others talk about how the USDA don't want to take the because they come out with that chart on, the healthy chart, and they don't want to change it to plant-based because it's way too much money. And then the same group that organizes the school lunches and the programs, same thing. They don't want to take these kids to school, plant-based school, because it's too much money. Even though there's, people are sick, and it's been linked to the food, it's been linked to the dairy, it's been linked to the meat. It's just too much money to come out and say, we're going to get rid of this or encourage people not to get these things. And so right now, and I'm hoping and praying that in time that'll change. But even right now, I mean, you can still, a lot of people say, oh, Armanda, I want to eat vegan, but it's so expensive. I can't afford to eat, buy stuff out of Whole Foods. And I tell people, even in Whole Foods, I can squeeze $1 out of 15 cents. Okay, you got to know how to do it now, but you can do it. But even if you don't go to Whole Foods, there are a lot of neighborhood stores where you can buy fresh produce, lots of different greens, and still eat healthy. And even Aldi's, because Aldi's is a subsidiary of Trader Joe's.
Yes.
So you can go there and find a lot of organic and, healthy things at a reasonable price. So it's becoming more and more affordable for people to eat healthier as well.
If they can invest in Starbucks, they can invest
Absolutely.
in cigarettes. You can get you keep the maintenance up on your hair. You keep the maintenance up on your car. Keep the maintenance up in your body by putting in some foods that's going to carry you for the long haul. You want your car to last a long time, so you're going to go get that oil change. You're going to get those brakes done, right? So when you go get your hair done, you ain't getting the cheap extensions. Some people pay $500 for their hair. You're getting your nails done.
I know.
Take some of that money and invest in your diet. I don't want to say diet. I say healthy lifestyle. We're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And again, we're talking about you are what you eat.
there is no other God beside thee, and we stand here and reverence your name. For you are worthy to be lifted up. Please receive our sincere worship. For you are the mighty God we serve. Oh, the earth proclaim. The mighty God we serve. We serve a mighty God, mighty God. Let the angels bow down. Let heaven and earth adore him, yeah. God we serve. What a mighty God we serve. The creator of all things. There is no other God beside thee, and we stand here in reverence your name. For you are worthy to be lifted up. Please receive our sincere worship. For you are the mighty God we serve. All the earth proclaim. What a mighty God we serve. We serve a mighty God. Mighty God. Oh, let angels bow before. Let heaven and earth adore. We serve a mighty God. God we serve. We serve a mighty God. God we serve. He is holy, magnificent God. There's no one beside thee. Let us declare his majesty. He is holy, magnificent God. You're worthy, yes you are. Let us declare that he is holy. He is holy, magnificent. No one beside thee. Let us declare that he is holy. He is holy, magnificent. There's no one beside thee. Let us declare. Come on and say his majesty. His majesty.
Hello, hello. This is Lady Rochelle, author and founder of Warriors Talk, where we move away from awareness towards action. And we are back. We're talking about you are what you eat. The second half of the show is being sponsored by Emmanuel Church of God in Christ, located at 3058 West Van Buren in Chicago. And at Emmanuel, we are building upon a solid foundation. We're talking about you are what you eat, the very foods that you put in your mouth can either eliminate drugs or they can help you be on drugs for the rest of your life. And we all know individuals who are taking at least about 5 different prescriptions. And I just wonder, like, are any of these prescriptions, interacting with each other? It's got to be dangerous. So our bodies are, it's an amazing thing when your body can heal itself, but you have to put the right foods in your body in order for it to do that. According to research, it says every cell in your body has a shelf life. Your stomach cells lives a day or two. Your skin about a month. Your red blood cells about 4 months. So your body is constantly making new cells, and it all depends on the foods that you put in your body. It says a diet filled with highly processed foods that's low in nutrients. That's what we need in our body, nutrients, doesn't give your body a chance to work. So we have to make sure that we are putting food in our body that has the proper amount of nutrients in it to give our cells a chance to do what they're supposed to do. Because I believe, and we've seen it with people, we have Armanda here that's telling her journey that if you put the right foods in your body, then your body will heal. But if you're just putting the band-aid over it, which are the prescription drugs, then you're not giving your body a chance to do what it was meant to do. And God built our bodies so that they can heal themselves. When you get a sore, and what happens when you have that sore? After a couple of days, that sore heals up, right? If you ever bit the inside of your mouth, right, it hurts, but it heals so quickly, right? So just if we're taking the time out to find out what it is that we should be putting in our body, and taking the time out, putting money to the side, cutting out all of the Starbucks coffee and the different things that we really don't need, then we wouldn't have to complain about, oh man, eating healthy costs too much. Well, burying you costs a lot too. So
Yeah, you're gonna pay.
you're gonna pay either way. You're gonna pay. So
Absolutely.
why not enjoy it while you're here, right? And why wouldn't you want to put the expensive things in your body? Why wouldn't you want to eat the good stuff, right? It's going inside of your body, so why wouldn't you want to do that? I
It's
don't
a
understand that.
mindset. It is a
I
mindset,
don't.
especially, like I said, in situations where people come from um, areas when they didn't have a lot of food. So when you have a lot of food, then you think that you're doing better. You're making progress because when you was little, you ate beans all the time, or when you was little, like we had neck bones all the time. To this day I don't like neck bones. And so then once you come into a situation where you can have steaks and all kind of desserts, and you can, because I even as a kid I told myself, when I'm gonna give me a job and I'm gonna go to McDonald's every day. I said that to myself as a kid, because McDonald's was a luxury for us. We didn't just run to McDonald's. It was you could count how many times we used to go to McDonald's. So, and when I got grown, I did. I did what I said I was gonna do, and then I became sick. So now I don't even do McDonald's and all those places anymore. But as a kid, that meant that you could do better. When you could go out to eat every night, and you could have all these foods that you were restricted to. Um, and I think that's what happened. I even read somewhere where, back in the 30s and 40s and 50s, people, more people grew their food. Even if you lived in a city, people had gardens and stuff, and then you had, a lot of women who were home during the day, or a grandmother who was home during the day, and they spent all day making, preparing foods because it was all healthy. And then when people started doing better, they started doing the fast food thing because that meant you was, coming up economically. And people started doing processed foods, and you got women working all day, and and people started, switched over to this fast food diet. And so people thought they were doing better. Just like when doctors used to prescribe cigarettes, people thought that that was you was progressing. And then they found out years later that, hey, wait a minute, all this stuff is not helping us. It had made us worse. So a lot of it, people have to be trained. Because I've even heard people say before, I want to eat better. I don't even know how. I don't even know how. And so what I tell people, for me, I try to my plate, I try to make it so many servings of fruits every day, so many servings of vegetables every day, so many servings of dark green leafy, not iceberg lettuce, but um, um, kale. We call that king kale, even collard greens. I made a collard green salad the other week, and everybody didn't know, and they asked me, they said, "What?" I said, "There were collard greens up in there." You served us some collard greens in a salad, I absolutely did, and you ate it all up. So I'll have some grains on there, some quinoa or some lentils or something like that, and that makes up my plate. Vegetables, fruits, grain, some kind of bean, lentil, and dark green leafy. And in fact, the dark green leafy will make up half the plate. Half the plate. We need to get those dark green leafy foods in there. So that's the plate I use. So as you notice, there is no dairy on there. There's no meat on there. And in the bean section, that includes lentils, nuts, all those type of things in there, high in protein. And that's another thing people think. Oh, you got this vegan lifestyle, you don't get your protein. Absolutely, I get my protein. Beans, nuts, lentils, and be surprised, and dark green leafy foods. So, and I took a trip to Kenya and Tanzania some years ago, and found that you have these huge animals, rhinoceros and all. They eat plants. They don't eat meat, but you got these huge animals.
That's
Mm-hmm.
you see them and they're strong, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
they're eating plant based. But look at them,
Raspberry.
look at their
Mm-hmm.
build, and they're not sick like we are, like
Mm-hmm.
humans are.
Right.
But we feel that we have to have it. Our
Right.
bodies crave it for some reason, and I think it takes a while. I know for me, it took me a while to detox. It's 2 years for me, but it took me a while to just eliminating stuff little by little. But it's a process. So I mean, if you're gonna do it, don't beat yourself up. If
Right.
you fail a couple of times, because like anything else, it's a process. It's gonna take time. And like you were saying, it's the mind. It's a
The
mind.
mindset.
You got to be
Mm-hmm.
able to change the mind to say, why am I eating this way? What is the purpose of me eating this way? And then once you get it in your mind, then your heart is going to change for the stuff that
Mm-hmm.
you really don't need to put in your vessel.
Absolutely. I agree. And that's why I suggest, people that are having a hard time, that book is excellent for helping you um, get that. And Tracy here, had a lot to do with this African American vegan starter guide. And that book is free. You can get you can go online and get a digital version, or you can do like I did and ask for them to ship you a copy. But it's a great start for those who um, just don't even know where to start and need some help with it. And again, that book as well is she now markets her book to anyone, but it was originally designed for African American women, and so she talks all about too how you go home and your family members are like oh, you weird, and what's wrong with you? You wasn't like that before you went to school. You went up there and now they got you eating like this. So she talks about how to deal with the family pressure also. But another book I wanted to, this is a cookbook. This sister, she's local. Her name is Regina Thomas Dillard. I met her probably a year ago, and she's a vegan chef, and she does a lot of events and trainings in the Maywood and Oak Park, Proviso area. She may do stuff in other areas, but I normally go to her events um, in the Maywood area, Oak Park area. And so I first met her was at this farmers market. 40 Acres is a farmers market, and I think they're African American owned too. And she was there taking the fresh produce and making. I think I had a collard green wrap that she had there, and so she was taking the food and making it right there on the spot and letting people taste that you can have all these type of foods and still taste good. She's a great vegan chef.
Soak your nuts is the next one.
Yes, yes. So this book is by
Okay.
Karen Calabrese. She's also a Chicago
She
lady.
looks familiar.
Yes, I'm sure you've seen her. She's been on the talk shows and everything. But she has, I know at least she had 3 vegan restaurants in the Chicago area, and she has a whole center in Chicago. Over, I think it was used to be on Halstead. But I did a vegan detox with her. So I went through a program with her. She offers classes and stuff, and she shows you how to detox with natural foods. And it was great. And so after this class, I never went back to eating other foods. So I continued on with it. But this book talks about a lot of the things that she talked about in her class, and just how to live vegan and be good with it. So she's very popular. She's local as well. And then this gentleman, I met him at a health thing that at Loyola Hospital.
How not to die.
How not to die. So he's very popular and very funny guy, but he tells a story about his grandmother getting sick and how they were expecting her to die, and then she changed her diet, and lived into her 90s just on her diet. So because Loyola has this initiative where they're trying to bring medicine and the natural health professionals together. So there was a summit. So I went to the summit and I bought his book, and he also has videos and YouTube and blogs and stuff where a lot of this stuff is on his website. But he talks about naturally, so you can look through this book and pick any element you have, in high blood pressure, whatever, cancer, whatever, and he'll tell you why you're having that, and this is how to heal that through natural foods.
How to reverse it.
Mm-hmm.
What are some words of wisdom that you would give to somebody who want to turn their life around and start eating healthy?
Okay, I would tell you they can do it. Um, Start off little bit by little bit. You don't have to conquer everything overnight. If you mess up, okay, that's okay. Get back on, um, continue on with it. You don't, and I tell people, you do not have to just go cold turkey. Okay, so I mean, you're not supposed to sit up and eat a whole cake by yourself, but you don't have to just like stop eating cake forever. So don't be so absolute. As young people say, don't be so extra. You start off, and if you start off, like I tell people, get some more vegetables in your diet, more fruit, dark green leafy, particularly kale and collard green, lentils, nuts. Lentils are high in protein, and not lime, split pea, very high, very high in protein, and did I say fruit? Your grains, so your oatmeal, your wheat, that type of thing. Start incorporating more and more of those things into your diet, and you'll be on your way. And it's not difficult. More water, and you'll be on your way. So take a little bit by a little bit each week. Start eliminating the bad foods, start putting in good foods, and before time, it'll be a habit.
I saw this quote. It says, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." So it's one
Mm-hmm.
step at a time. So thank you all for tuning in to Warriors Talk, where we are changing lives one warrior at a time.
Absolutely.